corrected, even if it is not felt, it should be taken to be there. So this seed and tree logic, this samsara, this struggle, sometimes it is lying dormant, sometimes it expresses. So, even when it is lying dormant, it's not felt. Because it's lying dormant, it is not felt. It is in the unmanifest state, it's not felt. But because it is not felt, some of the schools consider that it is not there. No, it is there. Satkaryavala. When it is not felt, it is not there, is not Vedanta. When it is not felt also, it is there. Because an error can never go without getting corrected. An error can become manifest, the error can become unmanifest. By the same logic, what is manifest is an error, what is unmanifest is an error. It is an error. The manifest is samsara, the unmanifest is samsara. Is the error. If you say the manifest is an error, the unmanifest is an error. That means the error is, if you talk about the manifest, it is an error. If you talk about the unmanifest, it is an error. An error doesn't go away just by becoming unmanifest, it doesn't go away until it is corrected. This is something that makes the problem very, very profound. That only shows death is not the answer. Death is not the answer. Sleep is not the answer. Going to sleep is not the answer. Just dying is not the answer. Doping the mind is not the answer. Putting off the mind is not the answer. Just, doping the mind is not the answer. It's not even simple laya is the answer. Laya is not the answer. Because anything that has a laya can have again srishti. That is. Laya is not the answer. Ultimately, it is correction, that is understanding what has laya, what has srishti, and where it has laya, and where it has srishti. These three sentences you can remember. Mind has laya, mind has srishti, perception has laya, perception has beginning, srishti. Perception has laya, perception has srishti. And where it has laya and srishti, it is within Brahman, within the Swarupa. Therefore, that Swarupa is the Vastu. Therefore here, that is why he says, Upanishad is being begun here to enlighten a student of the Srishti Sthanam, Sthiti Sthanam and Laya Sthanam. In order to help the student correct the error, here is the Upanishad. Here the Upanishad begins. Tad viparita Brahma Vidya Pratipatti Pratipatyartha Upanishad Arabhyate. The Upanishad is being begun. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is going to be long haul. It is going to be, hopefully by God's grace, it will all be enjoyable. So having understood that laya is not the answer, nor srishti is the answer, nor the sthiti is the answer, nor laya is the answer, but understanding the source, srishti sthanam, sthiti sthanam, laya sthanam is the answer. This is what we were doing. Now we will continue. And Upanishad, once we say Upanishad, it means the primary meaning of the word Upanishad is Brahma Jnanam. The secondary meaning can be Brahma Upasana. The first primary meaning includes also even Parikara, Brahma Upasana. Understanding the truth is Upanishad, Brahma Jnanam is Upanishad, and all that helps a person, all that prepares a person to understand the truth is also a part of Upanishad. All the values that prepare a person, those values which prepare a person for understanding the truth are mentioned only in the Upanishad. That Shabda is the Pramana. Because a sociology doesn't talk about Vairagyam ji. Iha amutra artha phala bhoga viraga, for what? A book of morals and ethics, a book of Dharma Shastra cannot talk about Vairagyam, total Vairagyam. Total Vairagyam as a precondition is mentioned only in the Upanishad. Upanishad only talks about Shamaha, Damaha, Uparatihi, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam, Mumukshutvam, especially Viveka, Vairagya and Mumukshutvam cannot be connected to anything. These values cannot be connected to anything, any achievement in the society. Viveka cannot be connected to any achievement in the society. Atma Anatma Viveka is not useful for any accomplishment in the society. Vairagyam is not a value that can be connected to any accomplishment in the society. Even Mumukshutvam is not something that can be used for, that can be connected to any accomplishment in the society. It is of no use. Therefore, Viveka, Vairagyam and Mumukshutvam, these three especially, are useful only, they find a mention only in the Upanishad. And therefore they are also a part of Brahma Vidya. All that prepares a person for Brahma Vidya is also a part of Brahma Vidya. Brahma Upasana is a part of Brahma Vidya, and Viveka, Vairagya, Mumukshutvam also are a part of Brahma Vidya. Now you may say Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam. Swamiji, are they not useful for social achievements? Not really Shama. Shama means freedom from desire. How ji? Shama, freedom from desire, how is it going to be useful for accomplishment in the society? Because for every mundane achievement you require desire. Self-control, mental control in a different way. It's not mere, it's a mental control, self-control, uparatihi, titiksha, great tolerance, Shraddha, Samadhanam. That Shraddha, the trust in what the Vedanta says, is of no use in accomplishing anything in the society. Therefore, these values, these fourfold values, I want you to see correctly. These values are a part of Brahma Vidya because they are not useful elsewhere. They are not useful elsewhere. Viveka, Vairagyam, Shat-Sampatti, Mumukshutvam are the values which are useful only for Brahma Vidya. Otherwise, what are they? Vairagyam, what are you going to do? Vairagyam means, Vairagyam for the pleasure here and hereafter. Thus, Brahma Vidya, Upanishad, the primary sense of the word Upanishad is Brahma Vidya. And Brahma Upasana is for mental purity that helps you gain Brahma Vidya. Therefore, Brahma Upasana also is a part of Brahma Vidya. These values also are a part of Brahma Vidya. This is the primary meaning. What about the secondary meaning? The book is called Upanishad by the secondary meaning. It is Gaunartha. The Mukhya Artha, the primary meaning of the word Upanishad is Brahma Vidya, Brahma Upasanas and all the values. Whereas the secondary meaning of the word Upanishad is the book which teaches Brahma Vidya. Even though the book is not the Vidya, but the book helps me. Like the book of history is not history, but it talks about history and therefore the book can be called history. It is history, we can say, in the secondary meaning, that is the Gaunartha. are able to follow this particular thing? So the Upanishad, this book is called Upanishad in its secondary meaning, whereas Brahma Vidya that is there in the truth, Brahma Vidya that is there in the mind of a person, that Brahma Vidya, Brahma Vidya is not something that you can see through the eyes. Brahma Vidya is in the mind of a person, in the mind of a sage, handed over to another student. He hands over this vision. That vision of the truth is called Brahma Vidya. And the preparatory steps like Brahma Upasana also is in the form of a thought. And all the values are in the form of the attitudes, etc. It is all in the person. Brahma Vidya is in the person. Brahma Upasana is in the person. And all the values are in the person. Whereas the book is not in the person. What is within is the Mukhyartha of the Upanishad. What is without is the Gaunartha of the word Upanishad. In this manner, the Upanishad is going to be begun now. Asya, now let us read. Asya of this Upanishad. Ashvamedha karma sambandhinaha vijnanasya. That asya should be connected to vijnanasya. This knowledge pertaining to Ashvamedha karma. This knowledge pertaining to Ashvamedha. Ashvamedha is a physical action. Ashvamedha is a physical action. It is a ritual. It is a kind of a yaga. You leave the horse and just to roam around. Like Rama did, Ashvamedha. I have given you the distinction between Ashvamedha Yaga and Rajasuya Yaga. Ashvamedha Yaga is to declare one's sovereignty over a certain number of kingdoms. You see? Anyway, what is the fruit of Ashvamedha? Ashvamedha karma yaga is supposed to be the highest Vedic ritual. It is a Vedic. Ashvamedha yaga is supposed to be the highest Vedic ritual. Highest Vedic ritual. It's not a mundane action, it is a Vedic ritual. It is a Vedic ritual. Therefore, every Kshatriya in India is a Vaidika, please understand. Don't think he is a Avaidika. He is a Vaidika. If he is not a Vaidika, he cannot perform Ashvamedha Yaga. So now, the Vedic, it is the Veda which talks about the Ashvamedha Yaga. And it is supposed to be the highest Vedic ritual. And because it is the highest Vedic ritual, it has the highest result. And the result of that Ashvamedha Yaga is Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha Pada. To reach the status of being Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is supposed to be the highest material comfort. I don't know how to say it. Hiranyagarbha is the highest pedestal, material pedestal that one can gain. Like in a country, Prime Minister's post is the highest. Or the President's post is the highest. And therefore everybody looks for it. Similarly, in the creation, in the Virat, Indrapati, that is, to become an Indra is the highest pedestal. In the same manner, the result of Ashvamedha is to reach the position of a Hiranyagarbha, which is supposed to be the highest inside the creation. Now in this context, let me draw your attention. Parameshwara doesn't come under creation. Parameshwara is the source. is not karma phalam. Parameshwara as Parameshwara is not karma phalam. Whereas Parameshwara, the first creation, when he physicalizes himself, becomes the Hiranyagarbha. The subtlest creation is the Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is like the dreamer and the dreamt put together, is called Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha means a state of perceiver perceived, both together. Dreamer and the dreamt is called samashti. The dreamt to the exclusion of the dreamer is limited, and the dreamer to the exclusion of the dreamt is limited. And when you combine them both, the dreamer and the dreamt, it becomes the whole. The whole, but the whole, the creation. So Parameshwara looking as both the dreamer and the dreamt is called Hiranyagarbha. This much you can really remember. Parameshwara looking both as the dreamer and the dreamt is Hiranyagarbha. That is a subtle creation. Similarly, Parameshwara looking both the waker and the waking universe is called Virat. It's called Virat. Parameshwara looking both the waker and the waking universe is called the Virat. It's a creation. Same Parameshwara looking both the dreamer and the dreamt is called the Hiranyagarbha. So in comparison, the Sukshma is greater than this Sthula. Hiranyagarbha is subtler, greater, subtler than the Virat. Virat means, the waker and the waking. Now all that we need to understand is Hiranyagarbha is a creation. Virat is a creation, whereas Ishvara is the source. Therefore Ishvara is not a karma phala. If at all there is a karma phala, it has to be Hiranyagarbha or Virat. Meaning my karma can take to the realm of Hiranyagarbha, or my karma can take to the realm of Virat, but my karma cannot really take to the realm of Ishvara as a karma phala, because my nature is that Ishvara. Therefore Ashvamedha Yaga, the result of Ashvamedha Yaga is to achieve the position of Hiranyagarbha, which is the highest. And after that it is only Ishvara. Understand this point, and there is a logic about it. Hiranyagarbha is the highest. To enjoy the subtlest pleasures. The subtlest pleasures is Hiranyagarbha. Now, a small doubt comes. Asyatu Ashvamedha karma sambandhinaha vijnanasya. This very knowledge, this very upasana, this very information about the Ashvamedha yaga is called Ashvamedha karma sambandhinaha vijnanasya. The information about Ashvamedha karma without doing the Ashvamedha. This mere information about this Ashvamedha yaga, prayojanam, asya prayojanam, its utility. Yesham Ashvamedhe, Yesham, those Ashvamedhe, in performing the Ashvamedha karma, na adhikaraha. Na adhikaraha means, there is no, they are not qualified. Na adhikaraha. A king is qualified in Ashvamedha. A king is qualified in Ashvamedha, but one who is not a king is not qualified in Ashvamedha. Adhikaraha. Tesham, for them. Asmadeva Vijnanat. From the very knowledge of this karma, from the very information about the karma. If a person doesn't have the adhikara in doing the Ashvamedha ritual, then the mere information about it, if he achieves the information about the Ashvamedha karma, that information, when you roll it in your mind, it becomes upasana. Like when you roll the information about Ram, it becomes upasana. When you roll in your mind the information about Krishna, it becomes Krishna upasana. When you roll in your mind certain information about Shiva, it becomes Shiva upasana. Or when you roll in your mind certain information about your children in America, it also becomes upasana. Upasana is nothing but just entertaining a thought about something. That is called upasana. Action is different, thought is different. If I go and see the temple, let us say, every day I go to a temple, Rama temple, and then every day I go and have darshan. This is called darshanam, it is called karma. Going there, walking there is karma. Taking a flower is karma. And if I offer that flower to that deity is called karma. Supposing I can't walk to the temple, I can't have the darshan of it. If I sit at home and think of the temple and think of the deity and roll it in my mind, then it becomes upasana. It also has phalam. But in the case of Ashvamedha, in fact, whatever phalam that you can have by doing the Ashvamedha, just the information about it, if you roll it in your mind, that upasana, you will have phalam. It is said here. Only Shastra says. Asmadeva Vijnanat. If a person doesn't have the adhikara in performing the Ashvamedha, just by doing the upasana on it, Vijnanadeva, Phalaprapti, he can get the fruit. Mere Ashvamedha Upasana. One is Ashvamedha Karma. The other is Ashvamedha Upasana. Ashvamedha Upasana gives a person the same result as the Ashvamedha Karma. Therefore, who does the Ashvamedha Karma? The king performs it. King does the Ashvamedha Karma. A layman can't do Ashvamedha. He can't have an Ashwa. He can't buy an Ashwa. What to talk of performing Ashvamedha Karma? But then even a person who doesn't have the adhikara in Ashvamedha Karma can get the phalam by just rolling the information, by doing the upasana. Understand the difference between karma and upasana. You think of your parents, supposing your parents are not there, just let us suppose you are 80 plus, parents are not there, but you think of them, what is it? Upasana, yes. Thinking with Shraddha is upasana. It will have its phalam. If when you think of your ancestors, it has its phalam. You think of any Bhagavan, Shankara, or Rama, or Krishna, or anybody, think of them. It's upasana. Think of Ishvara, upasana. You can't go to Gangaji and have a dip there, but then sitting here you think of Gangaji. In your mind you can dwell on the vibhutis of Gangaji, you can dwell upon the virtues of Gangaji, then it becomes upasana. In many cases, you get the upasana. Upasana brings you the same result as the karma. Yes. In some cases, upasana may not bring, but in some cases, upasana does bring the same result as karma. But it is Ashvamedha karma. When it comes to the Ashvamedha karma, Ashvamedha upasana brings you the same result as Ashvamedha karma. This is the point that you have to remember. Ashvamedha Upasana. Because later on a very serious question will be raised. Why in the Upanishad Ashvamedha karma is a part of karma kanda? When the Ashvamedha karma is a part of karma kanda, why do you want to bring in this Ashvamedha karma? Why bring a mention? Why make a mention of Ashvamedha karma in the context of Brahma Vidya? Vedanta is a context of Brahma Vidya. It is not a context of karma kanda. Then why do you make a mention of Ashvamedha karma here? So here, in order to tell the student of Vedanta that Ashvamedha karma, the Upasana about the Ashvamedha brings you the same result as Ashvamedha karma, but even that will not solve your problem. Even Ashvamedha karma phalam or the Ashvamedha Upasana phalam will not solve your problem. That means even occupying the highest pedestal in creation is not an answer. Because the source cannot be free from the problem as long as it identifies with the creation. We can't find the answer in anywhere inside the creation, high or low. Just as the earth is not the answer, heaven also is not the answer. So, existence in the waking, existence in the Virat is not the answer, and the existence in the Hiranyagarbha also is not the answer. In order to make this clear, Ashvamedha has been brought in here just to touch upon the highest ritual, to highlight its limitation. Once we appreciate the limitation of the highest karma in karma kanda, then you appreciate the limitation of the entire karma kanda. If the highest is limited, then the rest of course are limited. So if I understand that the highest karma called the Ashvamedha is not really the answer, then the whole karma kanda is not the answer. If the whole karma kanda is not the answer, then the Laukika karma kanda also is not the answer. If Vaidika karma kanda is not the answer, then the Laukika karma kanda also is not the answer. If both the karma kandas are not the answer, then you get Vairagyam. What else is Vairagyam? Karma kanda. Vairagyam for the karma kanda is called Vairagyam. Vairagyam for the karma kanda is the Vairagyam. That is said here. Now a question arises, sir, Ashvamedha karma is supposed to give you the result of Hiranyagarbha pada. Why do you say that Ashvamedha Upasana also gives you the same result? Because the Shruti itself says here, Vidyaya va karmana va iti. Up to that you say, Vidyaya va karmana va. Vidyaya va means either through Upasana, karmana va, or through the action. The result one gets either through the Upasana or through karma. Tadhaitalloka jideva. Another Shruti. This Upasana, Loka jideva, it conquers the various worlds. Ityevamadi Shrutibhyaha. इस प्रकार की श्रुतियों से it becomes very clear that Upasana also can give you the result, the same result as the karma. And now, this is a little analysis. Mimamsa is going on, so you have to follow it very great patience. Karma vishayatvameva vijnanasya iti chet. A Purvapakshi asks a question now. Now there is a doubt. The Purvapakshi asks a doubt now. What is the doubt? Sir, karma vishayatvameva vijnanasya iti chet. Sir, karma, the information about Ashvamedha, has no purpose to serve other than facilitating karma, Ashvamedha karma. The information about Ashvamedha is meant only to facilitate Ashvamedha karma. So how can you say that the information about the Ashvamedha itself is going to give you the result? Why do you say that the Ashvamedha karma has the result? Ashvamedha Upasana, the information about it also gives you the same result, because the information about Ashvamedha karma is only to help you perform the Ashvamedha. Like, the knowledge about cooking doesn't have the same result. The knowledge about the cooking is meant to help you cook. There the knowledge, cooking brings you food, but the knowledge about cooking doesn't bring you food. The information about cooking doesn't bring you food. But here it is totally different. So just as Ashvamedha karma brings you Hiranyagarbha pada, and also even Ashvamedha Upasana, just the information, rolling the information about Ashvamedha in your mind also gives you, Ashvamedha Upasana also gives you the same result. There is something called Ashvamedha Upasana. That also brings you the same result. How is that? How can Ashvamedha Jnanam give Upasana? That same result. For this he says, well, that is what the Shastra says, because Shabda is the Pramanam. So here he says, iti chenna. How can Ashvamedha Upasana give you the same result as Ashvamedha karma? Hey Purvapakshi, if you were to ask this question, my answer is you are wrong. Why? Yo Ashvamedhena yajate, the one who performs the Ashvamedha karma, yavu cha enam evam veda, or the one who does Upasana. The one who does Ashvamedha karma and the one who does Ashvamedha Upasana both get the same result. It is said. Iti vikalpa shrutehe. There is a choice, vikalpa. Vikalpa means you can either perform the Ashvamedha karma, or if you can't perform the Ashvamedha karma, you can even do the Ashvamedha Upasana. You get the result. Iti vikalpa shrutehe. Okay. Vidya prakarane. This Upanishad is called Vidya Prakaranam. Vidya Prakarana means the context of Brahma Vidya. The context of Vairagyam. The context of self-knowledge is the Upanishad. And this Vidya is something, this Brahma Vidya is something which is the final topic of the Veda. Because after this topic, there is no topic. Therefore, Brahma Vidya is called Veda Anta. Veda Anta means the final topic of Veda. After the final topic, there is no topic. It is the final topic, Brahma Vidya. It is the positional Vedanta is called Vedanta. It is not because it is found in the final pages of Veda alone, though it is found in the final pages, but actually it is the final topic, final anta, antima prakaranam it is. It is the final topic. Now in this Vidya Prakarane cha amnanat, it is being mentioned. What is this Ashvamedha Yaga is being mentioned, even though it is a part of Karma Kanda, but it is being mentioned in Vidya Prakaranam. Vidya Prakarane cha amnanat, because it is mentioned in the Jnana Prakaranam. Karmantare cha sampadana darshanat, and karmantare, in the karmakanda also, we do bring about resemblance. It's called sampada. Even in karmakanda we do upasana. Like you see, in a ritual, I'll give you an example. The rice pieces called akshatas. Supposing you don't have the gold to give to the priest or devata, you say akshatan samarpayami. Akshatan samarpayami means I give it in the warm. You look upon it as gold. Say offering. This looking upon the rice pieces as gold. Look upon this as, like you offer a small flower to somebody, a very high official or someone, it suddenly comes to your house and then really you don't have much to offer. You give him a small flower and then say, please accept it as everything, as gold, as vastram, as puja, as everything, whatever I wanted to offer. Well, look upon this flower itself. This is what is called the upasana. You look upon the flower as everything and then offer. So in karmakanda also, karmantare, sampadana darshanat means, even in karmakanda we do upasana like this. Vijnanat, and therefore through Ashvamedha, Vijnanam tat phala praptirasti iti avagamyate. It is possible that through Ashvamedha yaga, Ashvamedha upasana, there can be the result. One can gain the same result through Ashvamedha upasana, even as the Ashvamedha karma. Whatever result one can get through Ashvamedha karma, one can get through Ashvamedha upasana. And the upasana is being mentioned in the Vedanta. If the Ashvamedha upasana is being mentioned in the Vedanta in the context of Brahma Vidya, why should Ashvamedha upasana be given in the context of Brahma Vidya, which is meant for bringing you Hiranyagarbha Pada? Because a student of Brahma Vidya is one who is not interested in any material pedestal. He has got vairagyam. Listen to this very Aram saying. A person who studies Vedanta doesn't study Vedanta to reach higher realms in the creation. He studies Vedanta only to understand the truth, not for any material results, not for any higher material results, not for Indrapad, not for Viratpad, not for Hiranyagarbhapad, not for any high results inside the creation. A person who studies Vedanta is not interested in achieving the higher and higher material goals, but he studies Vedanta in order to understand the truth, which is the truth of the entire creation. When you talk about the higher and material goals, no high material goal can match the truth. Because every material goal is only a limited goal, because it excludes all other goals. It excludes all other goals. Every material pleasure excludes all other pleasures. It's like the pleasure of having rasagulla doesn't include the pleasure of having something else, a chocolate. The pleasure of having a chocolate doesn't include the pleasure of having rasagulla. Now I want you to understand this particular point. Every material pleasure has its limitation. Why? Because it excludes all other pleasures. Anything exclusive is limited. Anything exclusive is limited. Therefore, even the highest material goal is limited because it is exclusive of all other goals. Itna to samjh lijiye. So, if Ashvamedha karma is meant to bring Hiranyagarbha Pad, then a student of Vedanta is not interested in it. Then why is it being mentioned in Vedanta? A student of Vedanta is not interested in Hiranyagarbha Pad. A student of Vedanta is interested in the truth. A student of Vedanta is not interested in Hiranyagarbha Pad. And Hiranyagarbha Pad is the result of Ashvamedha Upasana. Why is Ashvamedha Upasana mentioned in the Vedanta when the student of Vedanta is not interested in the result of it? When a student of Vedanta is not interested in the result of Ashvamedha Upasana, why is Vedanta mentioning Ashvamedha? Are you able to do you understand? Do you follow the point? When a student of Vedanta is not interested in the result of Ashvamedha, then why is it being mentioned? That is the secret that is being given here. Sarvesham cha karmanam. Of all the Vedic rituals, Param karma, the supreme, the highest karma, compared to all the Vedic rituals, compared to all other Vedic rituals, the highest karma is Ashvamedha, is Ashvamedha Yaga. Samashti Vyashti Prapti Phalatva, because it gives you the result, Vyashti as well as Samashti, meaning the total material pleasure. How it will be, Bhagavan knows, we have to simply hear it. The total material, Hiranyagarbha Pad is the totality of the material pleasure. Vyashti means an individual, Samashti means the total. This Vyashti Samashti is something, it needs to be thought about. It needs to be understood like this. If I look at myself as an individual, this is called Vyashti. If I exclude the universe, it is called Vyashti. If I say me and the universe as one block, that is called Samashti. Yes. Samashti does not mean all the objects put together. No. The subject and the object put together in one block. Put the seer and the seen in one block, that is called Samashti. The hearer and the heard, put them in one block, that is Samashti. The dreamer and the dreamt, that is Samashti. So the Samashti includes the entire creation. The Samashti includes the entire creation plus the one who is aware of it. The Jiva, the one who perceives it, with a sense of division, of course. Like the dreamer and the dreamt as one block is Samashti. The waker and the waking universe is Samashti, and the name for it is Virat. The dreamer and the dreamt as one block is Samashti, and the name for it is Hiranyagarbha. And who is that? Who becomes this Hiranyagarbha and who becomes this Virat? It is Parameshwara looking as Virat, looking as Hiranyagarbha, but it is a part of creation. So, to enjoy the highest pleasure available in God's creation, the highest pleasure is the result of Ashvamedha karma. And everybody loves the pleasure. Mundane actions we do for pleasures. And Vedic rituals also we perform for the pleasure. And pleasure means through pleasure I want to make myself happy. And the means to one's happiness we do not know except the sense pleasure. So a jiva, as an individual, he wants to make himself happy only through the pleasure, and let me see something pleasant and become, let me hear something pleasant and become happy. Let me taste something nice. Let me touch something nice. Let me smell something nice. Let me feel something nice. Let me think something nice. Let me remember something nice. Let me read something nice. Let me talk to someone nice. Thus, I always want the pleasant things as a means to my happiness. The love for more and more pleasant things. That love is always there. Therefore, mundane actions we do for the anandam, and the Vaidika karma also we do for sense pleasure. Let me call it as sense pleasure. And the highest sense pleasure, here the Veda says there is a sense pleasure which is called the status of Hiranya Garbha. And Ashvamedha karma gives you that result. Okay, ji. Ashvamedha samashti vyashti prapti phalatva. Then why are you mentioning the Ashvamedha yaga in this Brahma Prakaranam? In order to create vairagya in the mind of a student. That is said. Tasya chaiha Brahma Vidya Prarambhe, and right in the initial pages of Brahma Vidya, Amnanam, mentioning the Ashvamedha karma right in the beginning of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which Upanishad is the context of Brahma Vidya. Sarva karmanam, in order to show sarva karmanam, all the karmas, mundane actions as well as the religious actions, Vedic actions, sansara vishayatva, in order to show that all the karmas give us only sense pleasures, and sense pleasures are a part of struggle, are a part of samsara. So if all the karmas, Laukika karma as well as the Vaidika karma, if all of them are meant to give only sense pleasure, if all of them are meant to give only sense pleasure, how is sense pleasure is a part of samsara? How is it a part of samsara? To achieve a sense pleasure is a struggle. To retain it is a struggle. And it is lost, and after losing it again there is a struggle. Pleasure is a part of ongoing struggle. Please understand. Sense pleasure is a part of an ongoing struggle. Sense pleasure gives me a relief in the process of my struggle. Let me put it this way. It gives me a relief, but it doesn't answer. A sense pleasure gives me a relief. How does it give me a relief? Well, I get occupied with the pleasure and somehow I abide in the pleasure. When I abide, I have a relief. Whenever something pleasant, in a pleasant pleasure, I abide. My restlessness resolves. My distraction resolves. So when I abide without restlessness, when I abide without distraction, then I have little respite. I have a little restfulness. And that restfulness is a relief. And I look for it again and again. I look for it again and again. But it's not the answer. Because every time I get it, then I abide for a while and again it goes. Why? Because that pleasure is not something that is brought about through sense contact. And when the sense contact is gone, the object can get exhausted, the object of pleasure gets exhausted, even the means of enjoyment get exhausted. Even the individual who is enjoying gets exhausted. It is exhausting. Every sense pleasure to begin with, it gives you a respite. But if you persist with it, it can be exhausting. Happiness doesn't exhaust, but sense pleasure can exhaust. I want you to see the difference. Happiness doesn't exhaust a person. Anandam doesn't exhaust a person. But a sense of pleasure can exhaust. Therefore, there is a difference between the happiness and, like, I will give you an example. Supposing this old example, supposing you go to a 5-star hotel, spend a few thousands, enjoy a good dinner, and then you have the pleasure. And then every day if you go, it is exhausting. But that money, you spend it just to help some people, buy some medicines and distribute, buy some books and distribute to the poor, or buy something and distribute, buy some food and distribute. Now, the joy of the joy of having done that good deed, that joy doesn't exhaust you. Throughout life you think about it. Every time you think of it, it makes you happy. Every time you think of it, it makes you happy. But that happiness doesn't exhaust you. Happiness doesn't exhaust a person, but a sense pleasure can exhaust. A good deed born happiness itself doesn't exhaust a person. Then what to talk of the clarity born happiness, the Swarupanandam. So you have to connect that. A good deed born joy doesn't exhaust you. What to talk of the Atmanandam, the Swarupanandam, definitely it doesn't exhaust. Thus, the principle is, a sense happiness doesn't exhaust a person, but a sense pleasure can exhaust. That way, even the highest results of karma are exhausting. Ashvamedha karma being the highest karma in Vedic context, being the highest Vedic karma, though it is the highest Vedic karma, but still it has only a result which is inside the creation. Even that has temporariness. It can begin and it can go. So, the Upanishad wants to show the limitation of even the highest material pleasure right in the beginning. If the Upanishad can highlight the limitation of every pleasure in the creation, if the Upanishad can highlight the limitation of even the highest pleasure born of Ashvamedha Yaga, then the student is more relaxed. His dedication to understanding the truth becomes complete. Then he doesn't have the illusion. Maybe I have something to gain there. Maybe I have something to achieve there. This illusion, maybe there is something there. Maybe there is something there. That kind of illusion he doesn't have. Then he becomes relaxed and he can concentrate on the topic better if he doesn't have the inner illusions about the things. In order to highlight the limitation of even the result of Ashvamedha Yaga, the Upanishad begins with the Ashvamedha. And that is Pradarshanartham Tathacha. Similarly, Darshayishyati, it shows. Phalam, the result of Ashvamedha, Darshayishyati phalam Ashanayam mrityu bhavam. Ashanayam mrityu bhavam. Even in the highest result, in every material pleasure, there is something very beautiful here. Even in the highest pleasure, the pang of hunger is there. The hunger for more is there. The hunger for more is the Ashanaya. I'm going to interpret it in two ways. The hunger for more is one kind of hunger. And the other hunger is the hunger that is biological. In every result, you have hunger for more and also biological hunger, because without the body you can't enjoy any result. Even to enjoy the Hiranyagarbha, even to enjoy the status, even to enjoy the pleasure of Hiranyagarbha, even to enjoy the pleasure of Hiranyagarbha, well, you need to have the embodiment. And wherever there is embodiment, there is hunger. So hunger is twofold. One is biological hunger, the physiological hunger, to eat, to eat, that is one hunger. The other is hunger for more and more pleasure, that is metaphorical hunger. I want more that is one kind of hunger. So in every pleasure there is ashanaya. You are never free from the hunger. In every pleasure one is never free from the hunger. I hope I am conveying this point. In enjoying every pleasure, embodiment is necessary. You can't enjoy heaven without embodiment. You can't be ethereal and then enjoy heaven. You have to have heavenly embodiment. In order to enjoy this Martyaloka, you have to have a mortal body. To enjoy this